What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to a vinyl haul video. It is what the people want. They want to see the vinyl haul, the recent pickups, all of this stuff. The theme to this one is sort of the vinyl haul from the Northeast, from New England. So a couple different things here. I recently took a trip up to Boston for the amazing MGK Boston party, shindig, kegger, whatever you want to call it, the other week. And obviously bought some stuff there that I'll talk about in the greater Boston area, as well as kind of a haul from Newbury Comics. The people up there in the Northeast know about Newbury Comics. They were running a sale recently, so I picked up some stuff from there. So I'm just going to call this like the New England Northeast record haul. Kind of a hodgepodge of stuff here. There's not a great theme, but you know me, it's some prog, it's some metal, it's some maybe one jazz, some classic rock, and everywhere in between. So we'll start with the one jazz pickup. So three kind of breakups here. We have what I bought and got from Newbury Comics. That was online, they shipped to me, but I'm just gonna include it here. My haul from Purchase Street Records in New Bedford. Represent. That was an awesome time. Got three pretty heavy records from there, and then just a couple of records that I found at a local store in the greater Boston area. So I'm going to start with those first. I'm going to start with the jazz release first. One of my favorites, I've said this before on the channel, but one of my favorite jazz pianists of all time. One of those things where if I see his stuff and it's cheap, I'm going to pick it up because it is all so good. I also say this too for people who are afraid of jazz, not into jazz, and but you don't know where to start. I would always recommend starting with Keith Jarrett. So, you know, he did some fusion stuff. He was kind of all over the map, but a huge amount of his discography is just solo piano. It's just Keith Jarrett at a piano, and arguably one of the most gifted and talented piano players to ever live. And so for me, again, it's jazz piano, but it's just piano. You don't got to worry about horns or organ or vibes or any of that stuff that you don't like. It is just a ridiculous man sitting at a piano and playing. So this was Keith Jarrett solo concerts. I believe this was released back in 1971 on ECM. This is technically a box set. This was really cheap. I mean, the box is not in the best of shape, but you know, it's intact or whatever. But the discs are great. It's a triple record, and I think this is like $8. So I picked it up. I love Keith Jarrett, but my favorite Keith Jarrett is the solo concert Keith Jarrett, just him at a piano. Same reason I love the Korn concert, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, really happy to pick this up. Awesome stuff. This next one is a band that is not shown in the vinyl community much, but I love them. And this was an interesting record for them. And so I guess I'll just show it. So this is 8 Miles High from Golden Earring. Yes, 8 Miles High, the Birds song from Golden Earring. This came out in 1969. So a lot of you probably know Golden Earring for two major songs. Twilight Zone, which was a hit in like the early 80s. And then, of course, Radar Love, which was a hit in the mid to late 70s. What you might not know is that they are one of the best sort of hard rock, progressive rock bands of the 70s. And what you also might not know is that they started before the Beatles. I mean, they were forming in the early 60s, before the Beatles, you know what I mean? But they were from the early 60s, and their first several records were like beat records. I mean, it was just like, you know, just pop and beat records, some R&B, that type of stuff, very similar to what was going on in Europe at the time. And then this sort of, I guess, signals a bit of a change of sound. They were going through that beat phase, they're going a little bit of a psychedelic phase, and this sort of represents that psychedelic, hard rock, going towards progressive rock sound that they would hit here in the years to follow. In fact, they became Golden Earring, but first they were the Golden Earrings, and this is the lone album in which they actually go by the Golden Earring. Again, 8 Miles High. So this comes out in 1969, and here's the hit here. 18-minute or 19-minute side-long version of 8 Miles High. The whole record's great, but their version of 8 Miles High here is freaking awesome. Early Golden Earring stuff, it's usually pretty cheap, but I don't see it around much, and so if I find it, but this is a cool area before they would hit sort of their stride in the mid 70s of progressive hard rock stuff. So was really excited to find that. And believe it or not, I'm so sorry, Sam St. John. I know this is your boy. I don't have a ton of Tom Petty. And so when I see it and it's cheap, I pick it up. But this is Long After Dark, 1982. Of course, the big hit here was You Got Lucky. You got lucky, babe. Yeah. I don't know where this falls in the canon of Petty records, like where people would rank it. I will say that I think Tom Petty is probably one of those artists that doesn't have a bad record, right? I mean, this is part of a streak of just great records all the way through. So, Change of Heart was another kind of song, big track on here. But You Got Lucky was the big one. Happy to have this, and still got to fill in a lot more holes in the Petty camp for that. So that was it in terms of like the used record type stuff. Now I'm going to dive into what I got from Newbury Comics. So real quick, they were posting Newbury. If you don't know, they're a Northeast store, Newbury Comics, but they're a record store. I've got a number of things from them because they do A, some kind of cool exclusives, and B, very randomly at times they'll have autographs. So you can just jump on really quick and buy like an autograph something. So I have had a couple of records that I bought for them that were autographed by the artist. What they were doing here though was kind of like a fire sale. Like we got a bunch of this stuff. It was all marked down really low, and it was buy two, get one free. So it was maybe, I don't know how many records, maybe like 40 or 50 records that they had on sale that were buy two, get one free, and they were already discounted. So I went pretty heavy here. I want to say I got 6 records for about $100, and it was free shipping. So that's where we're at. Now, on a completely different end than probably stuff I talk about on this on this channel a lot. One of my favorite singer-songwriters, and someone who sort of popularized, although he was a cult figure at the time, that sort of indie lo-fi. I mean, he was like the 90s, like Nick Drake in a sense of that sort of like very lo-fi, depressing 90s acoustic singer-songwriter stuff, was Elliott Smith. I'm a huge Elliott Smith fan. Fascinating, heartbreaking story. Of course, his death / murder / suicide / whatever is still kind of we don't know what happened. But this is a reissue of Roman Candle, his debut. Very cool wax here. We'll show. Look at that. How fancy is that? But yeah, needed this. Kept on the Newbury hype sticker, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, debut from Elliott Smith, Roman Candle. Not my favorite. I mean, they're all great. There's no bad Elliott Smith out there, but he would get better from here, in my opinion. I got 4 Elliott Smith records, so there's more to come. If you're unsure about Elliott Smith and don't know where to start, this is a beautiful, easy, cheap comp to get into, and that's an introduction to Elliott Smith. Again, same way, Newbury exclusive here. Let's see what that fancy ass wax looks like on this one. Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Look at that shit. I don't know what they call it. White and clear vinyl with black splatter. I guess that works. Yeah, this is literally an introduction to Elliott Smith. A great comp, sort of goes throughout his career. Awesome stuff. A couple of these were posthumous. I think that might have been posthumous too, just because, again, he died young. But this is a double record called New Moon. This was a comp that I believe collection of songs between 94, which is when Roman Candle came out, and 97, which I believe was either or. So there's about 3 records in there. So this is a lot of the tracks, not necessarily outtakes, but different versions. A lot of the music from that time period. Again, this is New Moon. It's called double comp. Let's see what kind of fancy wax we got on this one. That's kind of cool too. Go with that New Moon sort of color. Very cool. We love that. And then the last Elliott Smith one that I did get was another posthumous, but this I believe was supposed to be his last record before he died, sadly. Again, kind of a tragic, well, all death is tragic, but tragic death. Another double. This is From a Basement on the Hill. Great stuff here. Again, posthumous, the stuff he was working on as he sadly passed away. Very cool sort of wax there as well. So yeah, really happy. I'm a huge Elliott Smith fan, but I did not have much of his stuff, so glad to sort of pad that through. Next is again, the last 2 that I got from Newbury is a progressive rock band that I had heard of a lot. But again, it was like, well, one of these is going to be free, and each of these are double records, and they're like $20, and this whole thing. But it's a band called the Deer Hunter. So, which not to be confused with the other American rock band called Deer Hunter. This is the Deer Hunter. They're out of Providence, I believe, or somewhere in Rhode Island. So I think that's their connection to Newbury, is that they're regionally focused. But I had heard about this band a lot. And first of all, I mean, this just screams prog. First of all, you know, the cover there, this is called Act 2, The Meaning of and All Things Regarding Misleading. And of course I had to get the follow-up. The Deer Hunter presents Act 3, Life and Death. Not taking them out because they got these stupid obies on them or whatever, but interesting band. So as proggy as current prog gets, if you're a progressive rock fan, you would probably love this band. Where I get caught up on is the intersection between the progressive rock music, the proggy music, and the indie style like vocals. This is not a typical progressive rock vocalist. It's not progressive metal by any means, but it is like an indie artist, right? Like vocally, but mixed with some of the most complex arrangements and different instruments and styles all over the place. And I'm catching myself because I was like, I don't know how I feel about the vocalist. But I'm sitting here going, is it because I don't like the vocalist, or is it because I'm not used to that style on the music itself? So I don't know. For anybody out there who's a prog person, have you listened to the Deer Hunter? What do you think? I want your opinion. I listened to both of these. Musically, they blew me away. I just need, I think, some time to get used to that style of vocals. The vocals to me don't match, but that could be a me problem that I need to figure out. So yeah, the Deer Hunter, as progressive as prog gets musically, but yeah, I would just love to hear what other people think if you know them. Okay, and let's go into Purchase Street mode. So Purchase Street Records, New Bedford, you hear about a lot of people down in that area in the up in the Northeast talk about it. You hear Josh over at JC Flipside the Vinyl Community talk about it all the time. An amazing store, specifically if you like metal, rare punk, bootlegs, unofficial presses, all that type of stuff, Kiss, Boots, like all that type of stuff you love. So I had to get 3 metal records that I've been looking for. So one of my favorite bands, maybe my favorite American heavy metal band of all time, and a lot of that is just because of the personal connection I have to them, because sort of they are reincarnated as the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. But the band I'm talking about is Sabotage. So this is their second full-length LP, Power of the Night. This is part of the new reissue series. I believe this is on clear vinyl. Yep. Clear vinyl. Power of the Night, yeah. I mean, this is good, heavy. The Oliva Brothers, American heavy metal. It's not thrash. It's not new wave of British heavy metal. It's not power metal, but there's elements of that. It is just good old-fashioned American heavy metal. This came out in 1985, I believe. Could be wrong there. 85-ish on this. But Power of the Night, it's going to go great as... my favorites are Hall of the Mountain King and Gutter Ballet. This came out right before those. So there's that. And then I had to get another one. Sabotage went through a number of lineup changes. And this was a record that came on a recommendation from my boy Kyle over at All Media Podcast Reviews, something. Sorry, Kyle, if you're watching this. But he, I think, ranked this as his 10th favorite progressive metal album of all time. Handful of Rain. So this actually has... Alex Skolnick, Testament guitarist, if you're a Testament thrash metal fan, on here playing. This was, I believe, the first record without Chris Oliva. Also, I think Zach Stevens on here singing, so no John Oliva, although he plays some backup, I think, does some other stuff. But yeah, this is a different sounding Sabotage. They're getting away from sort of that classic 80s speedy heavy metal and going a little bit more conceptual. Of course, that started a few years prior to this, but I'm really excited to have this. Trying to remember what's... color vinyl this is on. Oh, nice. Yeah, it kind of matches that cover. A nice blue there. So, yeah, Handful of Rain from Sabotage is that. And then next, one of my favorite bands. This is as heavy as I go, and I think this is like a death metal, progressive metal live album classic that has been, I think, sold out most places for a while. And I just love this band. I think, musically, yes, I love them, but it's their imagery for me, man. It's just so creepy and Halloween, and just everything about them is just creepy. The logo, again, the imagery. Hailing from Sweden, I'm talking about Opeth, and this is the Roundhouse tapes. This came out, I think, right after Ghost Reveries, which was, I think a lot of people would say sort of the sweet spot for Opeth. It was when they were at the height of their death metal game, but also bringing in so many progressive influences as well. So there's still plenty of death growls on this for sure, right before Watershed came out. But man, just look at that, the imagery here, the cover, all that good stuff. Triple LP. I believe the Roundhouse tapes, this is a reference to what that early boot of Iron Maiden, early stuff at the Roundhouse. Roundhouse is in London, I think. Could be making that up, but somebody will correct me. But yeah, I've been wanting this for a while, so I was super pumped that he had it there. Yeah, just again, that imagery, man, how creepy is all that? And then some of these tracks, right? Ghost of Perdition, Under the Weeping Moon, Bleak, The Night and the Silent Water, Black Water Part, Demon of the Fall. Man, I just cannot wait to like fall rolls around. It's creepy as hell out and just blasting the hell out of this and freaking out all the neighbors, man, and myself. It's gonna be great. So yeah, Opeth, the Roundhouse tapes. We love it. And then a lot of people have heard about Roger, the owner of Purchase Street Records. He was throwing in, some of us were buying some pretty heavy stuff. And so he threw in his band, All Sinners. He's the drummer in this band. Very cool. Numbered, look at that, numbered 71 out of 100, which is very cool, from their show at the Whiskey Sunset Strip. So very cool. How awesome was that? Threw in this in a CD, and of course the t-shirt as well. So cheers, Roger. Thanks so much. And cheers everybody who went with me, or I guess who I went with, to check out that time. So thanks for hanging out there. 16 minutes. I tried to go fast. We got some metal, death metal, progressive metal, American heavy metal. We got some lo-fi indie stuff. We got some classic rock. We got a little bit of jazz. All of it here on this small, humble, and quite humiliating YouTube channel. So appreciate you all watching. Thanks so much. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.